Was the fix in for the lottery?
No, it's ridiculous, but that's okay.
I know that you think it's ridiculous, but I don't think the question is ridiculous, because I know people think that.
Patrick Ewing joining us. What did you know about the possibility of that 85 lottery being fixed?
You know that it was fixed. It was a cold envelope. It was a bent envelope. It was something that is these conspiracy theories.
To further mix the envelopes, and then I will conduct the drawing. That is Jack Joyce. He's the head of security for the NBA, spinning the drum. About 6 turns, I think. The team whose logo is in this envelope will have the first pick in the NBA draft. As you can imagine, this is a New York crowd. Congratulations here at the Waldorf Astoria.
It might have been fixed. I don't care. I ended up where I was supposed to end up. New York needed to have a team, a strong team to, make the league stronger. And that's what happened.
Show what you got in your hand. He has number 33 all printed up here already. Patrick, there's confidence for you. So you will make a call to you.
Oh, yeah. I'd like to speak to him, and it takes a little suspense out of who we're going to select, but
you can buy that, okay?
But we know differently, and here's David Stern with the announcement.
First pick, select Patrick Ewing, Georgetown.
The 1985 NBA Draft Lottery. Many say it's the biggest conspiracy in all of professional sports. Patrick Ewing was the consensus first overall pick in the 1985 draft after a tremendous career with Georgetown, the National Player of the Year, including the NCAA title in 1984. Simply put, he was the next big thing. At that time, David Stern was the league commissioner. 1985 marked the first time the lottery took place after owners got sick of teams blatantly tanking for the top pick. The 7 teams that didn't make the playoffs the season before all had an equal chance, 14.3%, of getting the first overall pick. The conspiracy theory revolves around the notion that Stern and the league wanted the Knicks to establish themselves as part of the upper echelon of teams in the NBA because of their standing as one of the bigger market franchises. A revitalization in New York would have theoretically translated to a boost in the overall popularity of the NBA, which would have helped when working on a new television deal. Coming into the NBA draft lottery, Stern allegedly had his mind set on giving the first overall pick to the Knicks, which would virtually hand over Ewing to the franchise. Why does this conspiracy theory exist? Is the evidence undeniable that the lottery was fixed? We will uncover that today. Hello, and welcome to Sports Vaults, presented by Data Productions, uncovering the untold, lost, and forgotten files of the sports world. There were rumblings of a predetermined outcome way before the day of the lottery. Stan Kasten, then the GM of the Hawks, recalls attending a college tournament in Hawaii a few months before the lottery. He says, "I was sitting with a couple of NBA guys, and I remember one high-ranking team executive, who I will not name, was 1,000,000% convinced of what was going to happen. He was going to the Knicks," he kept saying. "He's going to the Knicks. It's all arranged." Kasten pauses, chuckles. I didn't believe him at the time. The Knicks were coming off their worst campaign in 20 years. Star forward Bernard King missed 25 games. Center Bill Cartwright was out for the whole season. Many nights, Madison Square Garden had been half full. If there was a perfect landing spot for Ewing, it was New York, the league's biggest market. Many consider the 1980s the golden age of the NBA, but most of that growth and popularity came in the second half of the decade. In the spring of 1985, Michael Jordan was still a rookie on a bad Bulls team. The modern Lakers-Celtics rivalry was still blossoming, and the NBA was dogged by dwindling attendance, money-leaking franchises, and a cocaine problem so widespread that an '82 Los Angeles Times story reported that 75% of the players were on drugs. Just 2 years earlier, the league had come close to disbanding 6 of its 23 teams. Jordan also spilled the beans in the Last Dance documentary series, where he said most of his Bulls teammates in his early years were drug abusers.
Hear this deep voice says, "Who is it?" I says, "MJ." And then they all said, "Oh, he's just a rookie. Don't worry about it." So they open up the door. I walk in, and practically the whole team was in there. And it was like things I've never seen in my life, as a young kid. You got your lines over here, you got your weed smokers over here, you got your women over here. So the first thing I said, "Look, man, I'm out, because all I can think about is if they come and raid this place right about now, I am just as guilty as everybody else that's in this room."
The NBA's 4-year, $91.9 million TV deal with CBS was set to expire after the season. Ewing in Sacramento wasn't going to be sexy, but Ewing in the Big Apple? The New York Times wrote before the lottery, "There is a strong feeling among league officials and television advertising executives that the NBA will benefit most if Ewing ends up in a Knicks uniform." David Stern was promoted from his position of NBA Executive Vice President to Commissioner in February of 1984 at 41. Instituting the lottery was one of his first acts, and most agreed a necessary move to protect the league's integrity. Yeah, integrity. But what he did next was equally novel. He decided to televise it. The NBA had credentialed more than 100 media outlets and invited over 100 guests, all of whom crowded into the Starlight roof on the 18th floor of the Garden. It was to take place at halftime of a Sixers-Celtics playoff game. The ball, a plastic drum, was the brainchild of Rick Welts, a 32-year-old rising star in the NBA office whom Stern had deputized to design a lottery that would be both fair and against all odds entertaining. Welts and his team turned to Hugh Raskey, a set designer known for working on presidential debates. After rejecting a number of ideas, they settled on using the drum to shuffle 7 envelopes, each one a square foot. In retrospect, it seems like a peculiar decision. Square objects don't exactly roll inside a circular container like ping pong balls. But the hope was to make the ceremony seem more dignified, and everyone agreed that ping pong balls felt more like a circus, or an actual lottery. More important was to get the team logos on the cards inside the envelopes to pop on the 20-inch screens around the US. And if they were going to be placed in order on a shelf, they needed to be square. As the conspiracy theory goes, the Knicks envelope was either purposely giving a creased corner while it was being tossed in the ball, or it was frozen to make it easier for Stern to choose. One report in New York tabloid suggested that Ernest and Winnie, the accounting firm involved in the lottery, played a role in the rigging. Ernest and Winnie just so happened to also be the auditing firm for Golf and Western. Asked about the possibility of a fix, Madison Square Garden president Jack Crump responded, "Hey, I told them how to fix it 60 days ago. You can call up Ernest and Winnie and you say, if we don't get Ewing, you're fired." Let's look at the tape again closely. A white-haired man from the accounting firm of Ernest and Winnie, Jack Wagner, was tossing 7 envelopes in the plastic globe at a time, pausing for the briefest of moments, perhaps to adjust his aim, before dumping in the 4th envelope, which bangs off the interior of the drum, creasing the corner. The NBA's head of security, Jack Joyce, spinning the drum 5 times, Stern exhaling visibly and reaching in for the first choice, the one that will determine Ewing's fate. Stern immediately goes straight to the bent card without thinking about shuffling up the cards more. grasping and turning over the envelopes, then lifting out the lucky one, which just so happened to have the creased corner. The Knicks indeed won the number 1 pick. The young commissioner was elated. "We were very pleased with the lottery," Stern told the press. "The interest was great. People are talking about the lottery instead of the drugs, unauthorized franchise moves, or anything else negative." And the numbers backed him up. The league saw spikes in the overnight ratings, according to the producers, and lottery coverage led many sports sections. Stern grew up a Knicks fan. The Knicks finished with the 7th worst record, but just so happened to win the lottery in the first year the 7th worst team could. DeBrashear happened to have a Knicks number 33 jersey with him, with Ewing's name on the back of it, ready to display on live TV. An Indianapolis TV station used a freeze frame to point out that the corner of the Knicks envelope was bent. Other reports surfaced claiming the envelope had been placed in a freezer so that it would be colder to the touch and easier for Stern to pick out. "If people want to say that the lottery was fixed, fine," Stern said. "As long as they spell our name right, that means they're interested in us. That's terrific." This lottery fiasco prompted the league to change the format of the lottery. Ping pong balls were introduced shortly after, and that has been the norm ever since. The Knicks prospered greatly for over a decade because of the Hall of Fame services of Patrick Ewing, even if they never got a title out of it. What is your take on this topic? Do you think the NBA fixed the 1985 lottery? Let me know your thoughts below in the comments. Like and subscribe for more investigation content like this. Join my Patreon today for only $5 to receive a monthly esoteric documentary on your favorite sports athletes and events. Real, raw, uncut, and uncensored without the limitations of YouTube. Join today to see the other side of the sports world.